Mama.
I'm Norah.
Mama.
I'm Norah.
Mama.
I'm Norah.
And this is Norah and Mama Time. I think we just came up with our jingle. The topic is second grade. And
Yes.
can you explain what Hilo Buffalo is for the audience?
Yes. Hilo Buffalo is a game that we're going to play.
Mm-hmm.
So how it works is we're going to say something high about second grade or whatever you're talking about. Something positive, high.
Mm-hmm.
Then low, something negative about second grade.
Mm-hmm.
Then buffalo, something surprising about second grade.
Why Buffalo?
Because when you think about something, what's the first thing you think of?
I don't know. Depends on what that is.
Well, I bet it isn't a buffalo. You really don't see a buffalo every day. Actually, the chances of seeing a buffalo any day are pretty low.
But can I tell you something?
Yes.
So, buffaloes are actually the national animal of Vietnam. And if you live in a Vietnamese village, the chance of you seeing a buffalo is actually pretty high.
Well, we're here in Colorado.
What animals do we see in Colorado?
Like deer. I'd say. Like, we see a lot of deer, actually.
In our yard,
Yeah.
like the other day.
Yeah. Yesterday, I saw one in Nana's yard eating her plant.
It's not high-low deer because that doesn't rhyme.
Yeah.
As a second grader, you learn about rhyming, right?
Because high-low deer, deer doesn't represent surprising as much as buffalo does.
That's right, especially for a Coloradan.
Hey, we didn't introduce ourselves.
Oh my goodness, silly me. All right, let's do it.
Let's introduce ourselves properly.
My name is Linh. I'm 34 years old. I have 3 children and I'm barely 5 foot. The last one is my buffalo.
My name is Norah. I have a mom and a dad, 2 siblings. I am 8 years old. I'm barely 4 foot.
So let's dive straight into our topic of the day. In preparation of this, I have this letter that you came home with the other day that I want you to read.
Okay, as I said, I was in the end of second grade, and we're writing a letter to the upcoming second graders. May 20th, 2025. Dear second grader, I hope you love second grade as much as I did. Here are several reasons second grade is amazing. You will learn fun science topics such as the 3 states of matter, solid, liquid, and gas. Now don't tell your parents what I'm about to tell you. You're going to make surprise poems for your mom and dad. We also have fun field trips. Some of my favorites are Walkie Mountains and Puppy Pals, and the teachers are great. Has really silly spelling tricks that help you with your spelling. The classrooms are also awesome. We have the best view of the mountains. It is so beautiful. You even get your own Chromebook, which is a computer with Reflex, IXL, and more. And lastly, our projects are superb. I like the Map Your Room project and the Rainforest Animal project. I hope you like second grade because we simply have the best learning, field trips, teachers, classrooms, and projects. Best wishes, Norah.
Aw, I love this letter. I think whoever that gets this letter, what do you think they will feel?
I think they will feel second grade is going to be the best.
Was it? Was it the best for you?
Yeah.
What do you think are some of the highs?
Okay, we're playing Hilo Buffalo.
Yes.
Hi. Literally everything, but some of the specifics are the teachers. They are so fun and kind and nice, but they're also a little bit strict, which a teacher has to be, because if a teacher wasn't strict, then he or she wouldn't really teach you anything. You wouldn't learn much.
And you felt like you learned a lot from this teacher?
Yeah.
You mentioned best view of the mountain and the projects. Tell me more about those.
They assigned you with a project. For the Map Your Room project, they would give you directions and you would map your room. And you could do this on the cardboard box or like a diagram, whatever you want. And then you bring it in a month later and then you present to your class.
I was so surprised at the quality and dedication the kids put into each of these projects. Like, we're talking second graders, right?
I was 5 when I started these projects.
That's true. And in the Hawk room, which is like the main room of the school, you get to present to literally like the public. So you have experience. I don't think when I was second grade I have experience presenting publicly like that. It must have been so cool, but also slightly nerve-wracking.
My teacher said that almost all the jobs you need to present in front of public at some point. And then when you do these projects, it helps you. And so when you're grown up, all the practice you've had will be worth it. I've actually never performed these projects in front of a lot of people. It's usually, I'd say like 40 people.
That's a lot.
But like, I've performed in front of like 200 people before.
Oh my goodness. You're right. Well, that's the topic of dance, which
Yeah,
will come
we'll
up
do
in
that
a different
later.
episode. But public speaking, that's an important skill. And I'm just so glad you get to hone that this year.
Yes.
What about something low? And you have to think hard about this because you can't say everything or nothing.
Maybe like reading, but that isn't that negative.
So it's just slightly annoying, but it's not really something so bad.
It's like I'm not really looking forward to it, but it's not like the worst thing ever.
Okay, can I tell you something about our brain?
Yes.
Is whenever we think of something negative, at least how my brain works, is kind of like pushed away from your brain in order to protect our brain from feeling overwhelmed or feeling like, oh, things are just so bad. That doesn't mean that bad things don't happen. It just means that sometimes it happened, you move on, you kind of solve it, so you forgot about it. What I'm asking you to do is slightly hard because maybe you have forgotten about something that's negative, which is fine.
Let's go to Buffalo.
Okay. What is something that's Buffalo? Wait, before we go to Buffalo, what makes you think of reading as negative?
I like writing a lot. Like, writing to me is really, really fun. Why I like writing is because, like, you get to write your own. Doesn't matter, like, the structure that much, but, like, just write your own thing. Even if they assign you on something to write, it's at least a little bit your own thing. Once we made this poem book for our parents, and they assigned us to do poems on our mom. But it's your mom, so you get to decide what she is, because, like, in one of my poems I wrote short, because, like, she's barely 5 feet. Yeah, but in reading, you gotta, like, answer the question correctly. And it's like, you have to write it all down, like, and you have to do words from the question.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is you prefer when you create than when you have to consume something that you might not be interested in. Does that sound fair?
Yeah.
What are some of the topics that they present in reading? You don't remember?
Well, I kind of remember. Our latest one was about murals. And you got to answer this question about murals. But in reading, I think this part is kind of fun, but it's also not really fun. When you define a word, it's like, what does teamwork mean? And then you would define it, and then you would draw a picture. Then you would have to get your Nat Geo book out to look in the glossary to see what it says, so you can write it down. The Nat Geo book is really heavy. It has like 650 pages. And like, you gotta pull it out, and like sometimes it's all over your folders. You got notebook out, and Yeah, and then it's really heavy, and then gotta read it, and then sometimes you don't get chosen to read it. So why did you get your Nat Geo book out anyway? Yeah, but I think defying the words is kind of fun.
From a scale of super negative, which is like a 0 or 1, to like a super awesome, a 10, what would you rank this one?
Maybe like 4 or 5.
Okay. So the hardest you can think of something low is like a 4 or a 5. You can't really think of something lower than that.
Not really.
Okay. Let's move on then. Thank you for sharing. What about something buffalo?
Buffalo. That once I saw a buffalo. Just kidding. The one that I can think of right now is our mouse buddies. They're these 4th grade buddies, and we would write letters back and forth to them. And then they would write letters to us. And then they would say that they're a mouse, and they would make up a mouse name, say where they live, if they have any siblings. Then we would just write back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then later in the year, you get to meet your mouse buddy, which is really just a 4th grader.
So up until this point, you didn't know who it is that keeps writing you those letters?
Well, I knew her, but I didn't know what she looks like or what her real name is.
What's her name that she writes to you?
Blue Cheese.
Because mouse. I get it.
And then when you finally get to meet them, you make these little origami thingies of a mouse. And then it's kind of like a pocket, so you could put a ring or a necklace in there. Yeah, I think that was super surprising.
Could I share with you my high-low buffalo about your 2nd grade now?
Sure.
I'll start with something low because
Why?
You couldn't find what actual low for you. I think one of the low points was the beginning of 2nd grade, like around October, where you remember now?
Yeah.
Yeah, where you would come home pretty much every day for maybe 2 or 3 weeks. Really sad. We would talk about the problems at recess, with playing and all of that. I don't know. It was tough for me to see what you were going through. I would say low is not bad, Norah. It's not just because it's low, it means it's bad. All emotions are okay. And all emotions should be processed. So happy, it's easy to process, right? Because it's just happy. You feel happy. You feel content. You feel great. But sad or anger, it's a little more uncomfortable. And hence, it's harder for us to talk about it or think about it as anything other than what it is, which is a little bit negative, right? But I think it's fine. It's fine sometimes to be a little bit low, a little bit negative. So back to your October time, you were feeling a little bit down at recess, some conflicts at school that were a little bit hard to resolve personally. Without going into too much detail, about a few weeks after that, you didn't come home asking for help anymore. And it's not like you gave up. It's more like you figured something out at recess. And I felt very good that it didn't break you. It didn't make you feel like, oh, I could not do this.
Isn't that a high?
It could be a high at the end. Right now, you are good. You moved on. You don't feel those feelings anymore. But you did go through that, and it was a little bit hard for Mama to watch you go through that, crying and all.
I didn't cry. Oh, yeah, I did.
It's back to our brain thing again. We tend to forget something negative if it's negative. And that's really okay.
Please go on to high.
So, something high is the poetry reading day. I think that was collectively my and your and Dada's most favorite day at your school ever.
Yeah, I was talking about that. We would make poems for your parents, and it would be a surprise, and then they would make poems for you, which would be a surprise. And then, so sweet, and you get to see everyone do it, then it gets emotional and then you start crying and stuff. Yeah, my mom cried to death.
I mean, it was such a cool day to see poems that you and your friends created on your own. When I was your age, I didn't know any of the techniques that you did. So you did how many types of poem?
I think about like 6 to 8.
Wow. So there's like things that I have never heard of. So couplet, I kind of heard of. A couplet poem is like you rhyme every 2 sentences. But then there's also the thing with like L-I-N-H. You know, L is for this, I is for this.
Yeah, acrostic poem.
Acrostic, that's what it's called. And then I've heard of haiku before, but I have not made one haiku myself. Definitely not at 2nd grade. So that was so surprising and amazing and high all at the same time.
Yeah, they all overlap a little bit.
Yeah, and then something buffalo, I would say
is the surprise poems because it was surprising.
Were you surprised when we came in with our own poems?
Well, yeah, because like Evie, she's the first one that did it, and then her mom was like, "Do I grab my poem?" And I thought she was like joking, and then since I was the 3rd one, I was pretty early in. I was surprised by that, like that you made poems.
Yeah. That was really cool that we get to read our own version of how much you mean to us in front of everybody else.
So can I just say the beginning of both of my parents' poems? They're different. Okay, so I'll do my mom's first. It's still a miracle to me how you're no longer 3. No, I don't want to change my diaper. Why can't we have a forever dinner? But Mama, can you stay a little bit longer? Now that you're 8, your vocabulary is great. Okay, that's all I'm going to say for my mom's. And then, here's my dad's. I gotta
you have to
get
hype
in the
up.
mode. Brush your teeth. Comb your hair. Don't forget your underwear. Pack your bag, lunch and snack. It's a while before we're back. Why's your principal in the parking lot waving her hands like a traffic cop? I love you and I got you here. Did you brush your teeth? Did you comb your hair? Did you forget your underwear? Okay, that's all I'm going to say for my dads.
Oh my goodness. And I think that was the biggest laugh that entire room had. And honestly, in Dada's life, I don't think he has made such a big room laugh,
In Dada's
so
whole
hard.
life?
Well, maybe not in his whole life. I don't know. I don't know his whole life. But in the time that I know him, and when he did public speaking, like he just talks about work.
Yeah, he's more funny in home speaking and personal speaking.
Yeah, because his main job is not that of a comedian. So the buffalo for me, I still haven't shared, is when you got your NWEA results at the end.
Yeah, that was so surprising too.
I think that one was so surprising because both me and Dada think of you as better at reading and writing, but your NWEA showed that you're better at math, at least for the one in the spring semester. It was a revelation to us that we have been working so hard on reading and writing this whole time, and we thought that you need more help with math, but you kind of proved us wrong. Like, at least for that standardized test, you performed so well, and we are so very proud of you.
Thank you.
So, I think that's our Hilo Buffalo for 2nd grade. Let's move on to our last segment. To end each episode, I'm going to teach you the Vietnamese word of the week. And today, in honor of our first episode, and mentioning of the word buffalo, I think at least 20 times, we're gonna learn the word buffalo in Vietnamese? It is,
Drum roll.
drum roll please, con trâu.
Con trâu.
That means buffalo, and it's the national animal of Vietnam. Con trâu. Remember?
Con trâu.
Should we give people a sneak peek of our next episode?
Yes. Stay tuned because our next episode is, drum roll please, siblings.
Yeah, we're gonna talk all about siblings. So until next time, thank you for tuning in to Norah and Mama Time. See you soon.